And what brought you here?
From Pensacola, Florida. Actually, a little town just next to it, Milton, Florida.
My dad lives in Navarre.
That's right. Great place.
It
God's
is.
country.
Amen.
I heard about Operation American Spring back in December. Colonel Riley was starting the effort, and I've been active in local politics and actually with our congressman as well. And having been as a retired military officer, I have great passion for honor and integrity. And at this time, my son just enlisted in the Navy, and you know, I have an honor code. I live by an honor code. You know, lie, cheat, or steal, basically. And our commander-in-chief, you know, I cannot trust him. He has lied to us and proven lies. He's a thug. He's a thief. He's cheated our country. And so I read, I guess it was, I think his name was Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Okay, basically said, not to speak is to speak, not to act is to act. And so it's time to act. And I have a passion. Everybody here is on their own dime, came up here. And I believe, obviously, I took an oath to defend the Constitution. I believe that oath. That oath didn't end with me retiring, and now I see this country at dire straits. It's time. We have to act, and have to act now before it is too late. Some people think it is. I don't think so.
So you believe there's a political solution?
I'm guilty. I believe we may have a political solution. Okay, if we can convince, just like going into Congressman Miller today, I intend to ask him a question. Our founding fathers never intended for career politicians, never intended it. Okay, and that is what corrupts the system. Has corrupted it. The constituents are no longer we the people. The constituents are those that fund our campaigns and the special interests.
Do you think voting is corrupted?
I think voting is corrupted.
Then how can there be a political solution if the voting process is fully corrupted?
That's a very good question. And that's why I think action locally, you know, if nothing else, is a catalyst to try to excite people, to get people to a call to action locally, because you can affect that locally. You can go to the chairman of your elections within your county, within your state, okay, and you can demand, you know, accountability. You can be outside the polling places. You can volunteer at the polling places.
I'm from Illinois, and it doesn't work that way there. You have no control in Illinois over anything because the machine owns it. And here I look at the federal level and I see that we really have no choice. Our choices are between who they care to see in office. And I know when you start getting literally 16,000 to 50 votes in Ohio, some precincts, you know, 20 or so precincts, 100% one way to zero, you know, and there's a Senate subcommittee that held a series of meetings on electronic voting fraud, and it was fully outed that it is a corrupted system. Our government won't allow a paper trail, and our government won't even demand you carry an ID card.
And you're right, and I've had that argument too, and I've made that same argument that the voting system is corrupted, and it, you know, but then what's the choice?
This is my concern.
It's extra constitutional.
It's a repeat of the Declaration of Independence.
It is.
Do you, in your circles, do you see people preparing?
Yes, I'm preparing. I mean, I have. I mean, I see that there are a couple of paths we can go down. If you cannot push it politically, then we're either going to be overrun, and I always equate it to the analogy of the parasites take over the host, okay, and the host succumbs, or the host has to stand up and throw off the disease, throw off the malignancy, which is really a cancer right now. And I have hope. I have a little hope, okay, that we can push it, and we can do it locally, because that's where it really starts anyway, is locally. You hold your politicians accountable locally. You hold them, and groups like this can hold our federal representatives, you know, to accountability. I read, and I'm listening to Mark Levin's Liberty Amendments. It's an excellent, it gives excellent background on why on each amendment that he wants to propose at the Convention of States. I think it's a long timeline. Do I think, to get a Convention of States together, and we may not have that kind of time. That's my only fear. But the book and the information that he provides is excellent background on what our founding fathers, were thinking when they established and they wrote the Constitution.
I use the analogy, let's say you and I were Christians and we started meeting at my house and there was a dozen of us and we grew to 50 people. And over the course of time, we decided, you know what, we could afford to buy a piece of land and build a church, and we do that. And then before long, we grow to 150 people, and all of a sudden we're at 500 people. A lot of the new people have taken over deacon positions, the secretary in the office, groundsman. And then one day at our business meeting, somebody raises their hand and says, I vote that we should worship Satan instead of Christ. And all of a sudden, these new 350 people raise their hand and say, we agree, we outvote you. That's the situation we are in today, in my opinion. So the question is, what do you do? Do you turn over your church that you built to these people who have subverted it and infiltrated it? Or do you stand up and fight?
You stand up and fight. You confront evil. And a lot of what we're confronting right now is evil.
Pure evil.
It's pure. It's corruption to the bone. It is corruption to the core. And there's a little hope, but I tell you, it could come to. I think we are really in a cold civil war at this time.
Yep.
It's a cold civil war.
So, final question: what do you think about the fact that we only had about 1,200 people here on the first day? What do you say to the people who didn't come, who know the truths that we've just spoken?
I think it's time to get to let the Spirit, let the Holy God, put the Holy Spirit in you, the Spirit of the Spirit of the founding fathers, to awaken them, and to awaken them to the shackles that are being put on them every day. And we're not going to be a free people. And quite frankly, we're not really a free people right now. So if you want to be free, if you want your children to be free, if you want your grandchildren to be free, if you want to shake off this tyrannical government that is starting to grow and blossom, you stand up right now. It's not let them do it. If you, again, Friedrich Bonhoeffer, to act is not to act, not to speak is to speak. So, be the seed. That sapling or that tree right there grew from a seed, and it grew into a mighty tree. So this organization is a seed. So it needs to be grown. It needs to be kept going, kept watered, and hopefully the word will get out and people through media like this.
And I love optimism, but in my view, that seed that was planted, there's somebody who makes a point to go stomp on it every day so that it can't grow. But I love the optimism, but I've become very cynical because of what I understand and know about our history of our government. So, God bless you.
It tends to tyranny.
Yeah,
people tend to go underneath it.
It's 100% tyranny
to
today.
Follow it.
Yeah.
That's what you got to fight against.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I've learned a little bit more here. This woman came from Sacramento, California, via her mother in Missouri. So the two of them hooked up and made the trip. And so tell me, what motivates you?
Getting the right things done. Getting rid of Obama. And Pelosi. All of them. All them crooks up there.
Ah.
That's what I want to do.
Now we're getting to the meat. Crooks.
Crooks.
Liars and thieves. Terrorists.
Murderers. Traitors.
Well,
and America needs to wake up, and that's what's wrong. They do not wake up. They're all sleepers.
What do you think of the fact that you made the trip from Missouri? Your daughter came all the way from California. What do you say to the people?
We know what's really going on.
And the value of an action like this? What do you say to the people who didn't make the trip, who are only 200 miles away or less?
Don't bitch about it. When this world, this country goes downhill, don't say a word, because I'm coming after you.
And there you have it. I think a lot of people follow those sentiments there.
That's right. And they will.
He's okay. Okay, so what made you make this trip?
My name's Gabriel Oldacre. I'm from Southeast Ohio. I made this trip because I took an oath to the Constitution, and I feel that the Constitution's being destroyed by tyranny. And I'm willing, I stand ready right here beside my brothers as long as it takes. I'll be here for 1 year to 10 years, it don't matter. I'm driven by the pride of our soldiers and the pride of our country, and we will not be defeated by tyranny.
What do you say to the people who didn't make this trip, who know the truth as you do?
I'd say, I know that there's some reasons that some people couldn't make it. That's why we're going to stay here the duration. Whenever they get a chance, we just pray that God leads it to their heart to bring them here and help us get this back in line here, get Congress settled up, and come down here and support us. Regardless whether they come or not, we're still going to be here. We've been called.
Okay.
All are called, but few. I mean, we're here. We're here to do it, and we're going to stay here.
How y'all doing?
Good man. Good man. Did you make it to Operation American Spring?
Hi, we came from Colorado, and the reason is we feel it's time that we take a stand against political corruption that is prevalent throughout the government.
Do you think there's a political solution?
Yes, I do think there is. And I think people need to get out and vote and become active instead of being very pessimistic about everything.
So when you have 16,000 to 0 the vote count out of Ohio in one precinct, it sure raises the red flags as to whether or not the voting system hasn't been subverted.
I agree wholeheartedly.
And if we can't have a fair vote, then how will the political system actually function?
Well, I think part of it is we have to get rid of the electronic voting. That is all, you know, if it's electronic, it's subject to tampering with.
But do you know the government is promoting electronic voting wholeheartedly and want to get rid of the paper ballot in its entirety?
Yes, I do. And I think we need to take a stand and be firm in our beliefs as far as going back to the paper ballot and having adequate people there to confirm that the counting is accurate and that there's no cheating.
Yeah, I'm a what's that called? I'm an optimist as well, but I'm a pessimist when it comes to our government.
Right.
And yeah, well, I'm glad you made the trip. It's a big deal.
Yeah, we stopped through Kansas and Missouri and picked up areas.
Wonderful.
And we all carpooled on out here. It was a total of 30 hours, but it was worth it. We have to take a stand so that we can look our children and grandchildren in the eyes and say, we took a stand and we did everything that we possibly could.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good day.